lot of kids that are in high school. And they got typical high school problems. They're dealing with depression, they're dealing with social pressure, they're dealing with social anxiety, they've got anxiety issues. Their doctors are telling them or recommending to them stuff for ADD, ADHD, stuff for depression, stuff for anxiety. Some of them are even actually being prescribed medical marijuana for anxiety. So the question is, a lot of them are now stressing out because they're like, I'm supposed to be straight edge, but I have all these problems and everybody's trying to force all these drugs on me, prescribed drugs, but I don't know whether or not I can take them or not because I'm straight edge.
Yeah.
And everybody, I don't know very much. Nobody I know is straight edge, and all I know is that straight edge people don't do drugs.
Yeah.
So what the hell do I do? Do I start taking medication for ADHD and depression and anxiety, or do I try to do it on my own?
Well, this question is definitely something that I battled with for like a huge majority of my adolescence, because I claimed when I was 14.
Right.
And
do you have problems with depression or anxiety?
Yeah, well that's about, when I was like 13 or 14, I started developing really bad OCD and depression and stuff like that. And then, but I refused to like get it checked out, right? Because when something like that happens to you, like when you start feeling depressed, you don't want help. And when you start like realizing that you're developing OCD, you don't want help. And like, or at least I didn't. I was just like, I'll figure it out on my own, I'll fix it. And as time went on, it got worse and worse. And by the time I was like 17, I was so afraid of life. Like, I was afraid I was going to kill myself. I was afraid of touching people. I didn't touch a person for an entire year. I didn't touch my food for 6 years. Like, just germ-wise. I carried hand sanitizer with me everywhere, and it, like, just about wrecked my whole life just because I didn't want to take medicine. And I didn't want to go to therapy. So I tried to go to therapy for a year. And, it kind of worked, but I'm really glad you asked me this question because in high school and college I took strictly psychology classes and I learned a lot about therapy. And when I approached therapy for my OCD, I understood that a combination of psychiatry and psychology would help. Therein, going to therapy and taking medicine hand in hand has like an 89% success rate, whereas one or the other has like a 50%. So I went to therapy for OCD for about a year, and I took a medicine called sertraline for my OCD, which I still take now. But as time went on, I developed a few more mental illnesses because in high school I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, ADD, ADHD, depression, bipolar, which kind of just swallows the depression. And then I was diagnosed with schizophrenia as well as the OCD that I had already experienced. So basically, I was up to my neck in mental illness, and I didn't really know what to do. And I was convinced that I could do it without medicine. But I was on the verge of suicide for I don't even know how long. Like, it's kind of mind-blowing to think that I'm still alive, like after like how low I've been. And
so which disorders did you end up starting a medication program for?
It got to the point where my parents gave me an ultimatum where it was, you're going to take medicine for schizophrenia and bipolar and suicidal thoughts, or we're going to institutionalize you and you can live in a hospital and they'll make you take medicine. And it was like, I hope that no one ever has to like face their issues like that. Like, it was so abrupt. And I honestly didn't even care, and I told them that I would go live in a hospital, actually, is what happened. And so I called my job at the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm not coming in because I have to go live in a hospital. And they're like, no, you're coming in because someone called in sick. And I was like, oh, that's very understanding of you. but I'm not coming. And they're like, no, you are. So I ended up going to work that day. And about a week later, I went to a psychiatrist. And I decided that, I mean, the original question was, what do you prioritize, like, medicine-wise? And I understood that I couldn't take, like, 10 medicines for everything that was wrong with me, because I don't like taking any medicine, really.
And that's not just because you're straight edge, that's because it's your life, right?
Well, for a couple reasons. The first reason is I'm very careful about what goes into me, like, straight edge aside. Like, I don't eat fast food all the time because I'm careful about what goes into me. Like, I like to eat healthily, I like to drink healthily, and I'm just careful. And I feel like if you put a bunch of pharmaceuticals in yourself, you're kind of like manufacturing the inside of your body, which you really shouldn't be doing. So I was really against taking all these medicines, but I was prescribed lithium, which was pitched to me as the miracle anti-suicide drug, which has helped me tremendously, like monumentally. I never thought that something could help me as much as lithium had. And I am taking Xanx, which is an antipsychotic for schizophrenia and bipolar. And my hallucinations are just about gone. They very rarely spike. But there are some things that you just can't, like, okay, for example, part of my bipolar is physical mania. And I have literally permanent side effects from my antipsychotics that I cannot escape. I have facial tics and tremors, which my doctor told me, they gave me a medicine for it. And I came back and said that it didn't work. And they were like, yeah, we were afraid of that. I was like, afraid of what? And they were like, well, they're permanent from your antipsychotic. So your hands will always shake for the rest of your life. And your mouth and tongue will do things that you don't want them to. And it's obviously worse late at night. I'm glad this is early so people don't, like, they're not like, what is he doing? But I don't take medicine for physical mania. I don't take medicine for anxiety. I don't take medicine for ADD or ADHD. I take medicine for the things that would keep me from being alive. I would have killed myself without lithium. I would think you're a lizard right now if I wasn't on Xanx. Like, and I take medicine to make sure that I can still be a productive person. And I understand that, and we've even been on tour. I'm sorry for ranting.
No, you're not.
But just edit it, and it'll be fine. We were on tour this one time with this one band, and this guy said, boy, I need weed. And I laughed because I thought it was funny that someone would need weed. And he was like, what's so funny? And I'm like, well, you don't need it. Like, you just want to smoke. And he was like, what? So right, so you just want to take all that medicine at night? Because he had seen me take medicine on tour. And I'm like, that's like not the same thing. And he's like, oh, so how is that not the same thing? If you're pumping yourself full of medicine, how are you going to call yourself straight edge? I'm like, I almost lost it on him, like, for real. Like, it's, and one thing that I will tell kids right now is that people won't understand. A good majority of people won't. First of all, I know like a handful of straight edge people in the whole world. Like, we're a dying breed, first of all. And second of all, if there are straight edge people out there that are out to get you and try to like debunk your straight edge, then they suck. Like, there's only 5 of us left. Like, we gotta stick together, man. And some people just need. I can honestly say that I would not be alive without the medicine that I take.
Right.
And I can honestly say that if I was alive, I would treat everyone terribly, and I would be living in a hospital right now, for sure.
You also said that it was your parents that put that ultimatum in front of you. What about people's parents that say, well, this is a family Christmas or this is a family holiday, so you have to drink this?
Well, my parents did that because I was, and I don't want to get into this too far, but they were afraid that I was going to hurt myself or someone else in the house.
So that is completely different.
Yeah. As far as drinking or celebrating or something like that, it's you don't do that in fear of someone's well-being. Like, they did that because they thought like I was going to do something crazy. So
So what do you think about? So what? How should kids talk to their doctor then? If their doctors, if they feel like their doctor or their family are pushing something on them that they're not comfortable taking.
I'm glad you said that too, because now I can tell that story. Right before we left for this tour, I checked in with my psychiatrist and just to make sure that she could renew my prescriptions, and she was like, "You're doing really well, but I've noticed that your OCD is peaking, and it looks like you're doing a little bit worse." And I was like, "Gee, thanks, asshole." And no, she was like,
Is she young or something?
No. She was like, "So we're gonna bump up your OCD medicine to 150 milligrams instead of 100." And I was like, "I'm not a math major, but that's a really big jump. Like, I don't know if it's that dire to where you need to go like 150% of what I'm taking now. Like, that's kind of nuts." And she was like, "Well, your OCD will continue to get worse on tour if you don't take this." And I'm like, I literally said, "Listen, lady." And it was so funny. I was like, "Listen, lady, I'm very careful about what I put into my body. And I'm the kind of guy who, if I have a headache, I won't take aspirin because I think that I can get through it by myself. So if you're saying that I need to take an extra 50 milligrams, I'm saying, let me try to figure it out on my own. Besides, if you raise my medicine and then it has negative effects, I'll be in goddamn Oklahoma freaking out and I won't know what to do. So I'd rather just stay where I am now." So I put my foot down and I encourage people to do that. However, the way that this happened is about a month into tour, my OCD started getting a lot worse.
So last year you said you were pretty low.
And there was a defining moment. This is a moment that like redefined my entire life, and it's so inconsequential. I used to work at Chipotle in Florida, and this was in December. And this guy came in like 2 minutes before close, and we always hate people who do that. We're just like, why? I'm trying to close. And so this guy comes up, and he orders a meal for him and his wife. And I make it very, like, surprisingly generously. Like, I'm very generous with portions. And then I close it up, and I lie to the cashier and tell her that it was, like, half what it was. So he pays, like, $6 for a full meal for him and his wife. And after the cashier walks away, he was like, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, "Do you really want to know?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got time." And I was like, "It's because everyone in this whole world treats me like shit. So would I be any better if I treated you like shit right now? No. But if I hook you up for no reason at all, and you walk out of this door and you smile at some stranger, that will put into motion something awesome that wouldn't have happened if I didn't suck it up and say, this guy did nothing wrong to me." And the next morning, I woke up and I was like, what I did last night can be applied to my entire life. Like, me going out of my way to be nice to someone, I can do that all the time for my whole life. PMA, look into it, please. It's incredible. It's only incredible if you want it to be, though.
That's what you missed by not being part of the hardcore scene. Like, PMA is...
Well, I was a part of a different hardcore scene. I was a part of the, like, Outbreak trash talk hardcore scene. I wasn't in the H2O till more recently. But the thing about PMA is that it doesn't work if you don't want it to. Like, I was reading this book and I was like, man, if I were me 6 months ago, I would laugh and throw this book in a trash can. Because the thing is, if you don't believe it and you don't take it seriously, then it's bullshit. But if you try to understand, if you try to apply it, then it's real. Changed everything. I have asthma, so I obviously wouldn't. And I also think it smells pretty bad, but that's just personal. I think that there are loads of other avenues to take as far as anxiety goes.
Yeah.
And you have a lot more control than you think you do as a patient.
Yeah.
Because some people, like, it's funny, and it's honestly, it's how I was when I was younger. Like, I would go into his doctor's office and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable and I think about death a lot. And they're like, you're gonna do this. And I was like, okay. And that's how, like, you don't know any better. But like, I just turned 21. And I have been in enough doctor's offices for some doctor to tell me something and we'd be like, no, no, no. You tell me every little thing about what you just said and then give me a book about the medicine that you just said, because I want to know. And as a patient, you're allowed to know and you're allowed to make choices.
Right.
Because for any ailment that you could have as a kid, like I'm still a kid, I'm 21. If you are a kid and you go into a doctor's office and they say, take this, you could say no. And they'd say, we'll take one of these 5. And you could look into all of those and see if you feel more comfortable with any of them. Look into side effects. Look into possible long-term or permanent side effects, like I did not. Or just look into therapy instead. But the thing is, medicine is not law. And that's what I thought it was when I was younger. I was like, well, the doctor said it, I have to do it. And it's like, no, you don't. You have to educate yourself and figure out if it's what you want to do. So, that's that.
Okay, cool.